Hi guys, welcome to Northwest Connection. This episode we're diving straight into the heavy UK depths with Urzah. Fresh off the release of their new album, it's dense, punishing and built to shake the foundations. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome to Northwest Connection. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Tom, I play guitar in Urzah.
And I'm Dan, and I play bass.
And who are we missing this evening?
So we have Ed, who is the lead vocalist and other guitarist, and James, the drummer.
And what's the story behind Urzah's formation? How long have you been together?
So the original lineup, we got together about 6 years ago. And that was just so Ed, the vocalist, he put out a Gumtree ad. And me and James and our original bassist James all replied to it. And none of us had ever met each other before. And we all just showed up at the practice room one day. And that was that, really. We just kept showing up every week from then on.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite unusual, but yeah, literally none of us had ever met before ever. It was just the first time we ever saw each other was in this practice room.
And there was no other trial and error members in between that times. Literally, you'd all met and it clicked straight away.
Yeah, it was no kind of like rejigging or anything like that. It was just a case of the first lineup lasted for quite a while, and then James moved up to Manchester. The original bassist. Then we had another bassist, Les, for about a year and a half, and then he moved back to Poland, and that was when Dan joined.
Wow. I think I basically saw an ad on things like Instagram, and I'd heard of the band. So I live in Cardiff, so I'd heard of the band, nothing but good things. Listened to the album debut, Scorching Gaze, absolutely blown away, and I auditioned for the band sort of end of 2024, not expecting to get it, but we really clicked. And then I sort of jumped on the second recording. It's coming up to 2 years now, which is a bit mad, but hopefully I don't move to another country. And
must be the easiest bunch of guys to get along with if everyone clicked that easy.
So it's a nice band. It's very kind of like, it's like genuinely collaborative, which is great. I think everyone brings ideas, but it is very much like we all chip in, and that's how we kind of create the music we do, I think.
Where did the band name come from?
It's from Dark Crystal, the Jim Henson thing, I think. It's a character from that, which James and Ed are big fans of, and they were quite keen on that. I think Ed floated it, and James was like, "Yeah, definitely, that sounds like a great idea." And I was like, I don't really know what that is, but I like the sound of it, so that'll do.
Sounds mysterious.
Yeah.
And I think you've already mentioned, but you're based in Bristol, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So how did you find getting into the Bristol scene? Did it welcome you straight away, or did you have to take some time to find a place?
It was quite good quite quickly, actually. I think we got a few shows quite early on. The Griffin, I think, was one of our first shows. So metal pub, for those that don't know, with a really small venue in the top. And to have its own kind of dedicated metal pub and venue is a really good starting point. We've played there a bunch of times. We absolutely love playing there. John from the Griffins has been really supportive of us and let us run events there and stuff. So that was awesome. There's some really great small promoters and grassroots venues there as well. So it was pretty good straight away once we got going. Really, there's a great scene here, and a lot of the other bands are super welcoming. And we played a few shows with friends of ours, Rare of Ashes, and that kind of introduced us to other people, promoters in the scene. So it was pretty good pretty quickly.
I mean, you're quite lucky to have such a strong scene in Bristol as it is. Anyway, and as you've already mentioned there, Row of Ashes are a great band. And just one of many in that Bristol scene.
What are your musical backgrounds? How did you each get into your instruments?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mix. I think, I've been playing guitar for about 25 years, and then I picked up bass after the pandemic. Never played in bands before, but I just wanted to try something new. I played in another band in Cardiff for about 2 years, and then I joined Urzah. I was coming in with a lot of playing experience, but not a lot of live or any recording experience, really, so it was right in the deep end.
Yeah, so I started on bass originally. I played bass from when I was kind of young teenager till I was sort of in my early 20s, and then I'd really got into kind of Queens of Stone Age and stoner rock and stuff, and just really and started writing. I always had an acoustic guitar, so I started writing loads from kind of a guitarist perspective. So I just had loads of that kind of riff going on, and I'd always wanted to play guitar, and I'd been kind of slowly moving away from bass for a while. I'd done it for a while, and I was quite keen to kind of start working on sort of melody and stuff. So I had a couple of at the end of university, I played for a really short period of time with in the band that became In Technicolor, which is kind of like a stoner rock band who eventually ended up kind of forming in Brighton and becoming a kind of a real band. Then they were really good, but the early versions of that is what I started playing guitar in, and the bassist who became the guitarist taught me all the guitar parts and kind of taught me how to play and that sort of drop C tuning and all that sort of thing, and learned a lot from that. And then but when I got back and just decided I really started wanting to play guitar and stuff, so I was just writing guitar all the time, and tried a few different things out, and this was just the first project where it really stuck and really worked well together as a group of musicians, and we just started writing together from there, really. And it's just been a case of sort of trial and error and improving and working on guitar and that sort of thing from there, really.
So was there a moment or a person that pushed you both individually into playing music that you're playing now?
Yeah, so I'd say I would credit my friend Dave, who was in Technicolor and now plays bass in Delta Sleep. He was the one that kind of got me into playing that kind of stoner rock guitar and really inspired me to kind of get really good at that sort of style and get into the style of music. We're both big Queens of Stone Age fans, as I said, so I'm a massive Josh Homme fan and really want to just be able to sort of play really fun, groovy licks and stuff. So that was where it all started for me for this kind of thing.
I mean, for me, there wasn't really like anything like that. It was more that when I was sort of 12, 13, I wanted to play guitar. My parents supported that. I mean, I think beyond that, because my sister's also plays oboe in like a video game orchestra in Cardiff. I think my parents just wanted to give us what we needed to do creative stuff. So, I mean, I started playing guitar when I was like 12, 13, obsessed with like alt rock, like Radiohead, the Pixies, the Smiths, Jeff Buckley, R.E.M., that kind of stuff. Not really that heavy, to be honest. But I think that just encouragement to just kind of keep nudging it was why I kind of stuck at it. I mean, it wasn't really until the pandemic. I mean, for me, that was the big thing. I think the pandemic was like, I'd done a lot of writing and translating and other creative things. But after the pandemic, I was like, I need to prioritize creativity and connection. And that for me, that meant just pushing myself out of the house, auditioning for bands, going to more gigs. And I think that kind of catalyst was what kind of, led me to Urzah, was just realizing that like this stuff is really, really important and no one's going to bang your door down to get involved.
It sounds like you could have a really cool collaboration in the future though with your sister's computer game orchestra.
Yeah, TBC, we'll see. So it goes.
So when you were talking about like the more alternative and more indie leaning stuff you were listening to when you first started, and was that around you as a kid growing up? Was that the type of stuff that your parents listened to, or is it just stuff you found?
I mean, my parents listened to a mix of like. So my dad's a huge Sabbath fan. We went to see them tour when they did 13, but he saw them originally in the 70s. So my dad's really into like Sabbath, Deep Purple, Zeppelin, Thin Lizzy, all that kind of classic rock metal. My mum was more into kind of like Cat Stevens and folky stuff. So I think Tom also likes a lot of folk music, but I love kind of folky guitar and drony stuff and weird stuff. And I think growing up around that means that when I did get into more extreme music later on, I think I enjoy a lot of music that's like that, kind of like a bit weird and experimental.
So going back to the beginning of the band, did you know straight away what kind of band you wanted Urzah to be, or was that something that come out of those early recording or practice sessions?
So it was quite interesting, really, because at the start in the original ad that Ed put out, he kind of said he sort of wanted it to be sort of a psych stoner kind of thing, and so we started playing around with ideas that were kind of in that vein, and then we sort of realized that Ed's a heavy vocalist, and he was going to be doing vocals for it, and we just started gravitating towards heavier and heavier stuff. So the first demo we did was quite sort of stoner rocky, and now it's quite far away from that. It is much more sort of progressive metal, sort of post metal stuff now. So we just sort of leaned into that, just realized we enjoyed making that kind of music more. It's sort of once you kind of get going with with heavy, it's like it's hard to know where to stop. You just want to keep going heavier and heavier and heavier. So yeah, it ended up being sort of this progressive metal, post metal thing, and it's quite far away from where we originally started. And I'm not sure really what the route was there, but yeah, this is where we are.
So how would you describe Urzah sound to someone who's never heard you before?
I don't know. I always say it's kind of like somewhere in my head when I'm working on ideas. I like to think of it as being somewhere between Neurosis and Converge. Sort of like hardcorey bits, but then kind of like set back, sort of moody, spookier bits and experimental passages and so on. So that's where I think about it being.
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of use the label progressive sludge, but like I think yeah, it's those bands like Neurosis, Mastodon, Converge. Those are the bands that people compare us to when they come to shows. As well as a lot of, like, for me, like UK post metal bands like 100 Year Old Man, and really like big atmospheric, emotionally quite intense bands. And when I'm sort of writing for the band, I kind of that's what I'm kind of reaching towards, is that sense of like scale and heaviness and just like world-ending riffs like Armin Ra, that kind of stuff.
So how does the songwriting process start for Urzah? Is it collaborative from the beginning, or do you usually have one person who takes the lead?
It's different from song to song. So sometimes somebody will come in with something that's 70% done, and then we work on the rest of it together. And sometimes it will start in the room. So like Cool Beneath, the second song on the new album, that started off as a collaboration between Ed and James, who were kind of noting out the rhythm and on the whiteboard, like over the course of a few months, just kind of chipping away at it. And then once they kind of got that bit down and established, then we started collaborating on the rest of the song together on the latter half of it. So there's always collaboration in there from song to song. But sometimes it'll be written mainly one, but generally the majority of an idea will have come from one person, and then we'll just either chip in lyrics or sections, take something away and work on it. Everybody contributes to every song in one way or another, and most songs aren't necessarily written even lyrically solely by one person. There's usually contributors on different songs. So for example, I might write a song musically, the majority of the thing, but then Ed might come in and use his own lyrics on it, or I might write some lyrics for another piece somewhere else. And everybody contributes to everything.
So given it is so collaborative, where do you usually find the inspiration for the music and the lyrics? Is that usually whoever is the instigator of the song?
Yeah, it's hard to kind of explain where you get that kind of thing from, really, but I usually find, from my personal experience of writing things like lyrics, is you kind of hear the music and it makes you feel a certain way or think of a certain thing, and then you just put pen to paper and whatever comes out, and you just start writing, and then you go back over it, you refine it, you change parts. Sometimes you might have a part, you might wake up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my God, I know what the next lyric is for that thing, like I need to write it down. And usually there's not too much thought put into it happening. It sort of just organically happens, and then you edit later. That's my general attitude towards it. Is it will come to you in your subconscious in due time. It'll figure it all out, and then it'll let you know when it's ready.
I think as well we're all like music obsessed, so we're like constantly listening to new stuff, and it definitely bleeds in. I think we're kind of listening to music and the drives to and from shows and things. I brought a riff to the rehearsal room. It's not on this album, but we might be working on it in the future. But it started off as like an attempt to learn a Sugar song. I thought was cool. I can't play them Sugar song. I'm not good enough. But like trying to fail into learn that riff, I came up with this better idea that's like that fits within what we're doing. And I think because people are constantly coming in and being like, "Oh, this is great. Like check this out." Whether that's kind of like drony folk stuff or like black metal or whatever it is, it pushes the choices we're making, as well as sometimes when we're in the room we're writing. There's a lot of months of push and pull where we're like, like chop and change things, but sometimes we're like writing things and we're like, that sounds a bit too much like that band, let's try a different direction. So we're trying to constantly kind of sort of stress test what we're doing as listeners and fans, because again we don't, even if we weren't in a band, we'd just be like listening to music all the time. So I think that definitely has an impact.
Is there any new albums that the pair of you listen to at the moment?
What am I listening to at the moment?
Been going over the new Converge quite a bit. New
Yeah.
Neurosis. Yes, just to mention those two again. They just so happen to have released new albums very recently at the same time as us, and Elder as well, and another band that were a massive influence to us at the beginning.
Yeah.
They really got me into that sort of kind of like melodic playing, and yeah, that style of music really sold it to me. So those are the big three I've been kind of spinning constantly at the moment.
Anything different for you, Dan? Or
yeah, I mean, I like the new Neurosis album. I really like the Intercourse album from, was it end of last year?
Yeah, that was the end of last year, wasn't it?
And what else am I listening to? The new Boards of Canada. I'm a huge Boards of Canada fan from back in the day. Quite enjoying that.
Yeah, that is good.
My question was, are your songs finished before you go to the studio, or are you still sort of creating?
Well, they should be, but
They should be, yeah. Yeah, usually. Sometimes, so for example, with Bark and Branches from the new album, I'd written the chords and the lyrics, and I knew pretty much what the structure was and how it went. But we wanted to leave a little bit of room for some improvisation because we kind of knew it was sort of like an acoustic song that didn't need necessarily a drum beat behind it, and we knew we had Luke coming in to do the cello, so there was going to be some room for it there. So when we wanted to create some kind of drones for it to sit on, so that was very much kind of left till the end, because when we got things that we know that definitely what need doing and exactly what they look like, you kind of got to get those out of the way first because you're only there for a finite amount of time, and then with whatever time you have left at the end after that process, then you've got time to experiment and play around a little bit. And we're pretty close to the bone with it, and we probably only had about half a day to experiment with the percussion and adding drones to that song in particular. So yeah, it wasn't there was but it was most of the stuff is mainly there.
Yeah, and I think I mean, I didn't mean to sound too flippant. We went kind of to the recording studio, like rehearsed, knowing what the songs were. But I think there was a deliberate so we work with this great producer called Josh Gallup, and he just like gets what we're doing. He did the debut album as well, and there was so much collaboration from him, like suggesting different bass parts, guitar layers, synths. Like there's an ebow solo on During the Veil. He kind of like was like pushed us towards that create this really beautiful moment. I think we brought what we thought the album was going to sound like, and then collaborating with Josh in the room, because we were open to it. It meant it pushed it in all these directions that we were really, really happy with. That kind of really expanded the scale of what we wanted. That stuff was really exciting, to be honest. Like just being in the room and this like magic happens that we hadn't really planned. That was really awesome, to be honest.
So if you had a song that you had to fight with all the way through the writing process, and all of a sudden it finally clicked, and what was it that did finally make it click?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Sometimes we find we're not 100% on a song until it's got that last layer of vocals on it, and then we can see that it really, really works as a finished complete piece. I suppose with this one, I think like Infernal Star 1 of the new album, that was one where it's like we were quite happy with the bits, and we're just kind of like, is it all there, or does it all sound really good, does it flow really nicely? And then as soon as Ed kind of was like, oh, I've got these lyrics, I've got these ideas for style and stuff, you could just brought it all together and just like, yeah, that's definitely it. We don't need to make any more changes to that song. That is finished. So that was really cool for that one.
I mean, for me, I think there's a lot of push and pull in the room, but like it's never really kind of like, it's always like productive. I think that one thing we definitely struggle with sometimes as a band is we're kind of constantly trying to push our writing, which means sometimes we're like, how the hell are we ever going to play this live? Like, because we're deliberately trying to write these like complicated stuff that we enjoy, like The Call Beneath, like James and Ed mapped out on a whiteboard. There's also counting and weird time sequence changes, which works great live. But stuff like that where we got to the studio and suddenly it's like stuff you thought you had down, suddenly there's the metronome and it's being recorded, and you're like, actually, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But I mean, to be honest, but we enjoy that. I think we'd get bored if we were kind of in our comfort zone all the time. So
you like the challenge?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're kind of just a bit masochistic in that sort of sense.
Yeah, it's important, I think, to really kind of on every record really be kind of pushing yourself to the limits of your abilities on the instrument. I feel like if you don't do that, you don't really improve that much. You've really got to be like struggling by the end of every song, and just keep struggling until you can do it.
Nice.
So do you ever disagree when you're in that writing process, given the fact that you're always trying to push?
Yeah. Yeah, occasionally there'll be disagreements and stuff, but I think a lot of the time, if we disagree on things, you know, either we'll go, let's take it away, and then people are either welcome to kind of go away and try and come up with something that they think works better, or sometimes just leaving the space and letting you consider it and sit with it. You might just start to go, actually, I'd like that. It's really important to us to leave a song that you think is finished to kind of sit and then return to it and be like, is there anything you don't like, or is there anything bothering you about it, and revisit it before you kind of set it in stone.
Yeah, I think it's definitely true. We've all got different tastes and different ideas of what we want from the songs, but I think with every song, because everyone's really trying to push the songs in the band, I think it means that, you know, we all need to be happy with what we're doing. And I think that even though that there can be a lot of push and pull and changes, I think everyone wants it to be the best it can be. I think everyone is able to just like step back and be like, this is what the song needs, whatever. So I think that's why we work so well.
And are you writing with live performance in mind?
Yes, sometimes. Generally, it's more for just how the song's going to be rather than with live performance. You know, I don't think we're thinking about too much at that level at the moment. Right, although this time around we did road test a couple of things, because I think with the first album, we didn't really get to road test that many of the songs on it before going out. And it's actually been really valuable this time around to get feedback from people from live before having recorded it. Because then we might make some changes based on what people say and how they feel about it and stuff. Or if there's a bit we're not sure of, if someone's like, oh, I really liked that bit, I thought that really worked, then we'll keep it. So that has been good. So we think about it kind of in that regard, but I suppose we're not too focused on whether or not it's going to be a really great live song. You know, if it works really well on the album, but it's not something we want to include live, then we just won't include it.
Have you had any songs that have changed once you've played them in front of people?
Yeah, not a huge amount, but
not a huge amount.
Yeah,
really.
I mean something like Entwined. We were sort of playing live for about a year before we recorded it, and there's definitely like changes. You know, obviously we added vocals in the studio. You know, things like guitar tone and dynamics. You know, I was playing, because I came in sort of midway through the writing and recording of the album after Les left. You know, a lot of the bass was laid down, so I was tweaking stuff per every show, trying different things out, locking in with the drummer and seeing kind of what we could do differently. But I think for the most part, we kind of we kind of want to take stuff out when it's already like quite good. I think. So, you know, I think like in Film Star 1 and 2 and Entwined, we were playing it for about a year, but it didn't change that much. It was just refining the dynamics and, you know, polishing off the edges and things like that.
What's been your favourite live performance so far?
Maybe in Saturday.
Maybe Saturday. Saturday was really good. That was at the Dev in London. We love playing there. It's just great venue. It's really cool. Chris, the manager, is brilliant. And yeah, it was just packed out and it was just a great vibe. The other bands were really good. It was a really good bill. It just went really well and it was just really good fun. Yeah, that was just definitely out there for me. Absolutely.
Is it a venue that feels like home?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's a great one to play. You really feel very like comfortable there. Very familiar, and yeah, you know, so it's a metal pub, so it's very much like everybody there is there for one thing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Metal. Yeah, that's great.
Do you guys have any pre-show rituals before you go on?
Not really.
Talk about?
We have things we don't do, but we don't really have anything in particular that we do.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time it's just like trying to get to the show on time, find some parking, like this logistics, and then you've got a bit of time to sound check, and then it's like, all right, try and relax a bit, enjoy the ride. But yeah, we're not really like that, like superstitious or anything.
And have you got a dream venue or festival that you'd love to play?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, it's definitely like Arctangent and Roadburn. I think for me, as someone who goes to those festivals, because they kind of like really have heavy music, it's progressive, and also just the crowds are really nice and friendly and kind of value that kind of art. But I mean, that would be for me anyway.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I Arctangent every year, and Damnation most years as well. And I just love both those festivals. There's a really high caliber of music there, and just would that sort of level would be a great thing to be part of eventually. That's the same for me, really. Bloodstock as well. I love Bloodstock too.
It's been a while since I've been to Bloodstock, but both Arctangents and Damnation have a great vibe, and I think they're just the right size. You know, you're talking about 6 to 12,000 people. You know, it's
they're both great.
So let's talk about the new album. I'll let you talk about it.
I suppose. I mean, it's kind of, it follows on from the previous album. Really, it's it's a lot of similarities to it. It's almost kind of like we've been calling it. Is it a diptych, Dan?
Like a diptych, like a two-part.
It's almost like a two-part, like a reflection of the previous album, but with differences. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but it's kind of laid out in a similar way. And it kind of starts in a similar way to how the previous album ends. So if they feel like a continued sort of piece of music in a way. And I really like both, but I do think this one is very similar, but I just think kind of a little bit better with the use of kind of atmospheric passages and tension building and all that kind of stuff that we learned from the first album, or kept the things that we liked and then sort of added and worked on additional things that we thought needed improving. But yeah, it's very, very similar to the previous one in a lot of ways as well.
Yeah, and I think it kind of it covers the similar sort of like themes of like sort of like cosmic chaos, and it's all intertwined with personal things too. Like a lot of the lyrics are very personal, based on the people in the band writing about them, but there's still that sense of like I don't know if it was Ed who coined it, like the earth and heaviness tag that we sometimes use, where it's meant to be kind of like Lovecraftian cosmic horror and the natural world. And I think the Scorching Gaze was really heavy and riffy and atmospheric, but I think with the Tranquil Void there was a real deliberate attempt to kind of like really push the atmospherics and the sense of scale and space. And our producer put all these like really cool synth layers into things, which makes it sound really kind of like but I think he really wanted to just build and open out that world that was so created on the Scorching Gaze. Yeah, they do. I mean, it wasn't really intentional to like have them a two-parter initially, but I think when we started to put the album together in terms of the structure, the layout, how we wanted it to flow, we saw some parallels with the kind of interludes, the kind of dynamics on the first album, and it kind of worked really well to kind of have them sort of mirror each other. Yeah, and then we got the same artist, Urzah Nugraha from Indonesia, to do our cover art. So it just looks awesome next to each other. So yeah, it's come together really nicely.
And where did you guys record that?
Stage 2 Studios in Bath, which is the home of the producer Josh Gallop, who's worked from there for a while, and it's owned and ran by Dan Flinkroft from Sergeant Thunderhoof. Yeah, so there's a lot going on there. It's definitely a really good place to record things, for sure.
And at the point of recording this podcast, it's been out a couple of weeks now. How's the response been so far?
It's been mental, to be honest. It's like we've got Ed put in the group chat that we've already got 10,000 streams on the album, which, social media numbers are kind of, you have to take them with a pinch of salt, but still lots of people are listening to our music. We've got loads of great reviews in. We got a really good review in Metal Hammer, so each of us have kind of all gone to like Tesco's and like bought a little copy to put in the vault. It's been really nice. And I think obviously getting positive reviews is great, but it's so nice that so many reviewers and people at shows and people that have listened to it have kind of like get what we were going for in terms of the ambition and scale and of the album. So yeah, we're over the moon, to be honest.
And you've just finished the tour as well. How's the new songs gone down on that?
Really well, I think. Yeah, there's the show we did the other day, pretty much playing the album back to front to back rather, with the with just a couple of things removed just for the sake of set length, times and stuff and practicalities with certain parts. But yeah, the whole thing works quite nicely in a set like that, and people seem to have really enjoyed it. So we'll probably keep doing that for a little while.
Now you've done sorry, Lee, go on.
I was going to say, will you take a break from writing now, or have you started writing the next stuff already?
We're playing around with ideas, but we're quite keen to not jump into doing anything much too quickly, because we've written these two albums that kind of that have these similarities and kind of like work together as this one piece. What we don't want to do is go straight into another album and it be too similar to those two pieces. I feel like it's great that those two things kind of complement each other and reflect each other in a lot of ways, but we don't want to just repeat ourselves. Don't want to make the same album over and over. I feel like we'll be looking to kind of make a sort of a noted difference on the next release. So it'll take a bit of time to consider how it is we'd like that to sound, and to just things like learn some new guitar techniques and all that sort of thing. Really, just kind of to absorb music of all different kinds, and then be able to kind of just push that, filter it down into some more ideas. Really,
yeah. And I think as well, we just want to play out more. I think we've played a lot around Bristol in the southwest and London a few times. Obviously, we did that weekend with Brighton, Chatham, and London. And we've got Newport and Torquay in a couple of weeks, and then we've got a couple of shows dotted throughout the autumn. But we really want to start targeting festivals, doing a bit more touring as much as we can, juggle around life. So I think we've got 2 albums we're really, really proud of, and we just want to kind of get them in front of crowds and so work on the live show. And then I think because I think when I joined the band, it was like the pace of writing was amazing, because everyone's like, I've got an idea of this, just do this. So I think I'm sure that we will begin writing, at some point. But for the time being, I think we're just,
you've got enough to get on with.
Yeah, just enjoying having the album out, and maybe just like chilling out for a month or two. Quite an intense couple of months.
Okay, so we'll move on to the fun questions now, as we call it. So, what was the first album or single that you remember buying?
The first single I ever bought was "Heaven Is a Half Pipe" by OPM. Yeah. And then the first album I bought was "Conspiracy of One" by The Offspring. And then I went back the next week to buy Americana.
For me, it was nothing that cool. It was, I think the first thing I bought was like Carolina by Shaggy. Because I was like 10 or whatever. And then the first album I bought was Pocketful Kryptonite by the Spin Doctors, which still holds up.
I must admit, I've never gone back to that album. So
You're missing out, honestly.
I've probably listened to Oh Carolina more than I've listened to the Spin Doctors over the last 30 years.
That's okay. It's more for me.
What was the first live show or gig that you attended?
So the first live performance I ever went to, the big thing was One Big Sunday with my mum when I was like really young, and then I went to see Muse in Cardiff with some of my friends when I was like 12, and that was mental. So good.
Yeah, they were great, weren't they? I think for me, the first show I remember going to was like an all-dayer in Cardiff, because I'm from South Wales originally, and I remember the Stereophonics played and Paul Well was headlining maybe Ocean Colour Scene. I think the first metal show I saw where I was just blown away was I was working in Australia, and I went to this like all day festival thing, and I was at the front waiting for System of a Down, and they had like 2 stages. So while I was waiting for them, Slipknot played, and I wasn't a big Slipknot fan at the time. Seeing them get like 10,000 people to kneel down and jump up the chorus, I was absolutely blown away. Yeah, seeing Slipknot and System of a Down back to back, I was like, that's it, no more alt and indie. I'm just going full black t-shirts all the time, fully into metal. This is my life now.
Urzah had the theme park ride. What would it be called?
Probably just a tranquil void, I suppose, and it would just be kind of like Oblivion from Alton Towers, and you just go into the void and you just never come back out again.
If you could listen to one album for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh God, that's a tricky question.
Yeah, that's pretty hard, isn't it?
That is really, really hard.
Maybe the Body album, was it All the Rivers of the Earth Turn to Blood? I think that's what it's called. I'm a huge Body fan. I love all their stuff. It's just an amazing album. It's got like a all-female choir on it. It's got the heavy, sludgy screaming and noise. I just love that music so much. It kind of, that album is just amazing. It's beautiful, and it's heavy, and it's horrifying, and it's like gives me chills. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose I might go for something a bit more like something that ticks a lot more kind of more boxes. So maybe something like Elder, Dead Roots Stirring, where it's quite like majory sort of happy sounding, but it's heavy at the same time. So I feel like I could listen to it in a lot of different moods. You know, if you look for something that you want to listen to something quite heavy, then it's there. But also, if I want to, be at a party and listen to some music, I'm like, well, I've got to put on my one album I'm allowed to listen to. So it's going to have to be this Elder album that shouldn't go down too badly at a party, depending on who's there.
I think out of all the bands in that sort of scene, Elder are probably the happiest sounding, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Urzah's in a horror film. Who's going to survive the longest and who dies before the opening credits finish?
We're all pretty terrible at running. I think it's not going to be a long film.
Yeah, it's not going to do well in it, I don't think. I guess it's just luck of the draw. Whichever direction some kind of like zombie comes from, that's who's going to get it in the neck first. I don't think any of us are any more zombie proof than others. Really, we're all just going to be pretty rock shit.
What's the most cursed piece of gear you've ever owned?
Cursed piece of gear. Probably my amp, actually. So my amp went kaput over the weekend just before the second show was supposed to start. So I had to borrow an amp off the guitarist from Boarhead, which fortunately was a green mat amp. So it was an absolutely brilliant amplifier to borrow, and I was actually pretty chuffed that I got to play a show through it. But my amp has broken down several times, and so I've got to get it fixed now. I've got no idea what's wrong with it. It's a bit of a nightmare, really. But yeah, that I have changed valves in that so many times, and yeah, there's always something going on with it, or it always starts squealing or something. But that's just valve amps for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a similar problem with amps where I had an orange Terror Bass head secondhand. Sounds absolutely amazing, really beefy and warm, but it died just before we were going to play a big show. I think we were going up to Manchester maybe, and it just died, stopped working. Took it to a repairer. He was like, "It's dead. It's not working. It's going to cost more, to replace it than buy a secondhand one." I basically downgraded and got a really small Class D amp that works perfectly well. I think, at least with my rig, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible so there's less points of failure. Because I think the thing that really stresses me out now is not getting on stage or the songs. It's is there a patch cable gone? Running around trying to work out what's the broken connection. I get nightmares about that kind of stuff. So the simpler the rig for me, the better.
If you had a theme tune when you walked into practice, what would it be?
Theme tune.
Princess by Spin Doctors. It's a great song, can't be beaten.
Just the intro and repeat though.
Yeah, yeah. Until people kick me out of the band over and
over. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a Them Crooked Vulture song called Elephants that's got a really cool, suave riff on it, and I think walking down the road to that, it was going to feel like that. So I just have that following me everywhere I go.
We're going to move on to the quick-fire questions now. Vinyl or streaming?
Vinyl.
Clean break or noisy transition?
It's a tough one, actually. Noisy transition.
Noisy transition.
Big festivals or intimate gigs?
Intimate gigs for me.
Yeah, intimate gigs, I think.
Post-gig food or post-gig pint?
Post-gig pint, I think.
Yeah, post-gig food for me.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Star Trek.
Mastodon or Baroness?
Mastodon. Both are great, don't get me wrong. But
probably Mastodon by a hair.
Yeah.
Chips, curry or gravy?
Chips, curry or gravy. I have all three at the same time.
Why not?
I think I have to go curry.
Chips.
It's with the curry or the gravy on your chips. Sorry, that was.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, it was
curry sauce.
Yeah, I'm vegan, so unless it's veggie gravy or something. I'll have plain chips. I'll just break the question.
City life or country life?
City life for me, I think.
Yes.
No, I don't like a bit of country life, but I grew up in the countryside and it was pretty boring. So I quite enjoy living somewhere I can walk to a venue.
Yeah, city life.
Okay, and our last question. Cold spaghetti donuts or a tikka cornetto?
What was the first one?
Cold spaghetti donuts.
Or a tikka cornetto.
Yeah. You could have it as chicken tikka if you wanted, Tom, making it vegan for Dan.
Yeah, I would have to go for a vegan one as well. I haven't cooked in a while. I think I'd have to go for the curry in a cone because at least you can just eat the curry at the top, and then if you get to the cone, you're like, I don't really want this. You can just kind of get rid of it. As you get spaghetti off a donut, it just feel like
in the donut, it's going to be filled donut.
Oh, filled with spaghetti.
Yeah, definitely the spicy ice cream for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not saying the spaghetti donut wouldn't actually probably be delicious in reality, but it feels like too weird of a thing to conceive of.
We only ask the hard-hitting questions here at Northwest Connection.
Thanks for coming on, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, cheers. It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
We look forward to seeing you around the UK in 26 and 27.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.